Okay, guys, thanks so much for hopping on Wednesday versus Monday. We kind of forgot about the holiday weekend, so I'm happy that everybody is able to get on today. I hope you had fun with your friends and family over the 4th and whatnot. But okay, let's get jumping right into this. This is branding. It's Alexandra Street presenting, just so that there's not confusion. And I wanted to share with you guys a little bit about what I've been learning. I invested in a course recently with Amanda Francis, and I've learned so much about branding. And so I wanted to give you a little bit of a two-part thing today that you can take to kind of figure out who you are, what your message is, and also, how do we make that visible? How do we bring your heart onto social media and into your business? So that'll be a two-part session. It'll be kind of one where figuring out like who you are, and then the other part is going to be we're going to talk about like fonts and colors and whatnot. So it'll be pretty fun. Let's get started. My screen's going to look really weird for a couple minutes just because I'm sharing it with you guys. PowerPoint. Okay. I hope that everybody can see this. I'm not even sure if anybody is like live on right now. So if you are and you can't see the screens or the slides, let me know. But if you can, like, I'm just going to assume that it's working. And if not, like, whatever, I'll just post it later. Hey, buddy, I'm live. So sorry, it's summer break here. So branding 101, and branding is kind of not what you think it is. I feel like when people talk about like branding, like nobody really knows what it is. So it feels like mysterious and it feels like weird, and like you have to like know all, oh, thank you, Melissa. You have to like know all the little tips and tricks, but really it's just how your ideal client can find you, work with you, and pay you. So today our focus is going to be creating the foundation for you, regardless if you've been coaching for 5 years or 5 minutes. I want to really kind of peel back everything that you've ever thought you've heard about branding before and like how you show up online. And I want to like erase that and just clean slate today. So we're going to talk about creating your online presence. This really starts with your mindset and like what you feel like your voice is. So some questions to ask yourself, and I highly recommend, hey buddy, are you okay? Yep. All right, let's get it together. These are some questions that I recommend that you maybe do some journaling about, and you ask yourself, why are you here? Why did you sign up as a coach? The Miss America answer is like, well, I want to help people. I want people to lose weight. All that stuff. But like legitimately, there's something burning in your gut, this message that's bigger than that. It's so much bigger than weight loss and coaching and all that. There's something about you that you feel like you need to share with the world. And maybe you're not super clear on that yet, but I want to encourage you to dig a little bit deeper today, and as you go through the rest of the day and do some of the homework that I've created for you guys, and just, think about what makes you different. We're all coaches here. We all work with the same products in the same business, but I think that we're drawn to certain coaches who we like their message more than anything else, because we all have the same products that they have as well. But why? What about this person inspires you? It's usually their message. And so something that can kind of help you figure out what that is what do you feel like the world needs to know? Like if you had a rooftop to stand on and you could shout out one thing, like what do you know to be true? I know like Oprah says, like, what do I know for sure? And often that's what your message truly is. And this is also what's going to make you different from all the other coaches. We don't want to be the coaches that are, just Shakeology and workout pictures and, whatever else. We want to be human beings, and we want our hearts to be seen. We want our souls to be seen online. And that's what's going to make you so much more magnetic to the people that, need you. And I just made like a little side comment here. Feeling your authentic vibe helps people know, like, and trust you and want to do business with you. And it does that so much faster than like the coach who all you see is like the sweaty workout pics or the, Pollyanna, like life is so good. posts that you see. Otherwise, it just looks like pretty pictures, right? So you're going to feel a little bit of fear when you're starting to, maybe step away from that comfort zone of posting about your shake and posting about your workouts and, that kind of stuff. But I need you to feel that fear and do it anyways, because we need, if you don't want to be just this cookie cutter coach, you want your presence to be big and influential, and you want, people to be looking for you, or, if you want them to come to your Facebook page and feel like they've finally found somebody that gets them, you're going to have to feel this fear and do it anyways, because we're playing it safe when we're talking about the easy things, like challenge groups and just, basic coaching and whatnot. But when we actually like put our heart out on the line, which is what I'm, asking you guys to do today, it's going to be scary, but that's okay. Like, you're brave, you signed up, like you've overcome so much in your life. This is no different. Just do it anyways. And I also, side note too, evolution is normal. What your brand is today might be 100% different next year, just because of life circumstances, and you're always learning these new lessons. So that's okay. But for right now, we want to talk about, who are you today? What does the world need to know today? Like, what are your truths? So don't be afraid. Your brand will like kind of move and evolve. That's so normal. So it's kind of hard to even start talking about pretty pictures and fonts and everything else unless we know what your truth is. And then we're able to infuse that message into everything, like all your posts and your pictures, and they just pack so much more of a punch that way. So there are some ways that you can kind of get more clear, because sometimes like when somebody asks like, why are you here? It's like, I don't know. Like, I never thought of it that way. So some ways to do that are like to journal. You could just go like on a rant and just, ask yourself those questions from the previous slide. Like, what do you know for sure? Why are you here? What makes you different? Like, what has life taught you that you feel like people need to hear? And just like go on this rant, and you'll find that as you just free write, and like nobody has to read it, right? It's just your thoughts getting out of your head and onto paper, so that you can like all of a sudden look at this. It's going to feel like a mess, but then you can start to make sense of it and start to pull stuff, and you'll start to see these patterns that come up. And then essentially that's the beginning of your brand. It's pretty cool, right? Another way to do this is to meditate. Like, we have a million things going all the time. There's always demands and dings on our phones and notifications. And, and I know that life is busy. A lot of us are parents or, whatever, but taking time to be in silence with yourself and to just sit and to just, listen to your breath and to just not focus on anything else. Often we feel like it's easier to hear our soul speaking. So, hopefully it doesn't sound too woo-woo, but it's almost like when all the chaos gets kind of pushed away, you can determine, what it is that you need to share, what it is that's been on your heart or your mind. And that's a really good way to do it. And lastly, just surrender. Like, what comes up might be really different than what you thought your brand was or what you thought that you wanted to share. Hey, bud, can you turn that down, please? Thank you. But the whole thing about surrendering is that, you have to be willing, like if you want to go bigger in the world, and if you want to have a social media page that doesn't feel like everybody else, and it feels inspiring and people like want to come visit it every single day, you're going to have to like take those little nudges from the universe or God or however you want to think about a higher being, and you're going to have to start infusing that into your words and into your messages. So surrendering is just simply feeling that and going, whoa, that was kind of crazy, and it's like totally not what I've been thinking about, but then posting about it anyways or sharing about it anyways, because it's just going to lead you to, what people need and want to hear from you. Something like, just an example for me is, I have been talking a little bit more just about like grief and, chapter 2 and how do you move forward and, stuff like that. And which is a little scary for me because you open your heart up and like, obviously some people agree, some people don't agree. But from what I've seen is when I started just sharing like my authentic truth, like with, where I'm at in my life right now, it was so much easier to share everything else. Like, it's just like your energy rises and you start attracting better people, and it just gets easier. So definitely surrender to whatever it is that's on your heart or on your mind. So next, after we've gotten really clear about who we are and what we're bringing into this world, we have to start thinking about our ideal client, because obviously this is a people-based business. Like, we work with people. And regardless of if you're a coach with Beachbody or a life coach or any kind of person on social media selling a product or service, you need to know who you're talking to, because if you're talking to everybody, you're talking to no one, right? You know, you can't be vague. So let's be as detailed as possible. I like to think about, like, how old is he or she? What does he or she do? What are his or her fears? And then what do you do to help him or her with this? Sorry about the typos, you guys. I'm not like a frilly PowerPoint person if I don't have to be. So I hope that the bare bones works for you. You know, what happens? This is a good one. What happens if they never find you? You know, you have to ask yourself these kinds of things. And sometimes, like, I feel like when we start asking ourselves these questions and we can get that vision in our mind, like we can actually see that person sitting across the computer scrolling on her phone. And like, you know, I always like imagine like somebody coming to my page and just going, wow, I'm so happy. Like this girl, like, she just gets me and I don't even know her. And, you know, it's the kind of person that they want to eat up everything that you say, because, you know, it just fills all the little voids in our life, right? So start thinking about who this is. You know, if you can actually create, there's an exercise that you can do where you can find a picture of a girl, give her a name, talk about like her fears and her doubts and everything else. And, you know, like then when you're creating your post, you talk to that client. One of the hints that I have found for myself is that this person is often you. It's often who you were before you signed up as a coach, or before you decided to, you know, actually do the damn thing and like help people with your business, right? And obviously it's much more than fitness and weight loss, and it's so much more about like the human experience and, you know, how we get through life and how we make it good, and how we you know, our team motto is rise up and radiate, like how we break loose, how we do this stuff. And so I try to imagine like who I was before I became who I am today, you know. And sometimes it's like I'm talking to myself from last week and sometimes I'm talking to myself from like 10 years ago. But I always kind of think about like, Alex, like where were you before you knew what you know now? So be as detailed as possible. You can write out a list if you need a visual. That really, really helps. And then talk to this person. And also knowing who this person is makes it believable. I should say that. It makes it believable that they're out there and that they're looking for you, because if you know who this person is, you know that they're out there and you know that they're looking for you. So for me, that gives me a lot of peace of mind when sometimes it feels like nobody is vibing with you, that person is out there. So next, your vision is everything. So we just talked about your ideal client, but now I want to talk about you. You know, if you could be paid to do anything, like let's just say it's Beachbody, it's your Beachbody business, right? If you want your business to grow exponentially and make it easy, and you know, how are you going to be spending your days once you've hit that level of success that you desire? And there's no dollar sign that creates success. There's no, you know, rank or title or accolades. It's literally how are you defining life on your terms? So sit and ask yourself this: how would you spend your days? You know, what time would you wake up? Does sleeping in feel good, or does waking up early feel good? Ideally, how many days a week do you want to work? Maybe it's 7, and maybe it's 4, or maybe it's 3, or maybe you want like 4-day weekends or 3-day weekends. Like think about this, like how many days, how many hours are you going to work from home or wherever? Where do you work from? Are you somebody who wants to travel? Do you want to be working from exotic places? Do you want to be working in a coffee shop? Do you want to be working at a kitchen table or in a pretty, you know, home office? Imagine like where you would be if all bets were off and life on your terms, right? And also, if your message was heard and recepted, and you know, it's like you're serving so many people, the world is getting and receiving your gifts, how are you going to feel when you wake up in the morning? Is it going to be the kind of feeling that you're dreading to put your feet on the ground, or is it going to be excitement? Are you going to feel like a sense of wonder and, you know, what's going to happen today, or that you're expecting something really good? And also, how are you going to feel when you finish your work each day? I think that when we imagine the feelings, that's the best part, because we want to be fulfilled with what we're doing. We don't want, you know, I know we have like our power hour to-do list, but how are you approaching your work every day? If you could design life on your terms, how would you approach that power hour? How would you feel when you finish it? Does it feel like there's just like one more thing? Like, I know for me, when I feel a little like disconnected from my work, it's because I'm really not sharing my core message with people. And so my to-do list starts to feel exactly like that. It feels like a to-do list because I have to, not because like that's where my heart and soul is helping people. So we need to get back to remembering why we get started, what our vision is, what message we need to share with the world. And it's going to make it so much easier to like finish up your work and feel like, wow, like I always think to myself, have you ever been doing something and like you were having so much fun, you just felt like you were in the zone, and hours passed by and you had no idea? Yeah, that's ideally what I want your work to feel like with this business. And it doesn't come from motivational quotes. It doesn't come from, your personal development. I mean, it helps, but ideally, and actually, I guess in all reality, it's really going to come when you are expressing who you are, whether you started coaching 5 minutes ago or 5 years ago. And so how do you want to feel? Like, if you were working like that, how would you feel each night when you go to bed? Would it be like satisfied or happy, or would it be, excited for the next day? Or, maybe how do you feel right now? Are you kind of dreading, like, I know it's like the first day back from vacation, and how many of you, like, you can just like raise your hand, how many of you felt a little apprehensive about going back to work today? It's just like the last thing you wanted to do, right? Let's change that. Start creating this vision now. You can screenshot this and like ask yourself, do some journaling. Like, really, there's no right or wrong answer, but this is going to set the tone and the foundation for everything else too. And it's gonna help remind you of what you're here to do. So a lot of times when I'll tell people about this, and like branding, to a lot of people, they think it's, all the technical stuff, but they really kind of forget that it's all the things that you already have that sets you apart. And we're just trying to help you get clear on what that is, so that message is visible to your audience, right? So you're more than qualified. Like, you don't have to have any kind of training or like college degrees or whatever else that you like in your mind you're thinking that you need to have in order to share about whatever you want to talk about. You probably have some rules that you're not qualified because of what, but I'm here to tell you, you are qualified because of all the things on here. So your life experiences, the different trainings that you've been doing, relationships or mistakes that you've made, lessons you've learned, ways that you've helped others. Life is the best teacher, and often it teaches us what we can't learn in school. And so you are more than qualified to talk about what's on your heart, because obviously you've been a human being. You've shared this human experience, and we don't necessarily relate to degrees and to, all the other fancy stuff. And although they matter, yes, I mean, it can make you look more professional, like a distinguished person. We really we're heart to heart people. We get emotion, we get feeling. And so this is why you're qualified to talk about what you want to talk about. So also another question to ask yourself is, how does you doing this work that you are dying to do serve the world, and who's better for it? This kind of goes back to your ideal client. You have to imagine, like, what if you didn't share this? How would the world be worse off if you decided like, oh, I'm not qualified to talk about this? Like, trust me, you're freaking qualified. You're gonna have places that maybe you don't know as much about as another teammate, but that's okay. That's why you're different, and you don't have to be anything more than what you are and what you bring to the table today. You just have to be willing to share it, and to share it boldly. So let's make this easy for you. So this is like, the first part was about journaling and figuring it out, and only really you can do that. I know that we've got, on Renegade Society, we've got like our motto, and we've got our little taglines and like that logo, and you guys are welcome to use and be a part of that, because I'm sure that you joined this team because there is a piece of our message that you related to, or that you felt strongly about, and it was a piece of who you are as well. And you can definitely build on that, but I want to encourage you to get clear on who you are, because you're not Beach Fatty, you're not Renegade Society, you're you, and that's all you need to be. So get clear on why you're here, your voice, and then from that, when you kind of infuse all of that truth and like all that just raw, genuine you into your stuff, into your social media, your pictures, your posts, everything, it's just going to pack so much more of a punch, and you become so much more of a magnet, and people just feel like they know you. They feel like they like you. They feel like they've been searching for you. They feel like they finally found you, and they feel like they trust you, and they cannot wait to hear and do what you are doing and what you're sharing. And it makes it so much easier than, you don't have to get to know people as much behind the scenes, just because they feel like they know you. When you start getting messages like, I don't even know you, but like, I feel like we'd be best friends, or, I don't know you, but you've made such a difference in my life, or I love your vibe. That is all good stuff. And that's saying, that's a way that you can kind of say, okay, am I putting my truest self out there? Then you become a magnet. So here's your homework. You have to decide who you are. What do you know for sure? What would you scream from the rooftop? And again, you're going to need to journal that, and it might take like hundreds of times. I know the first couple times I did it for like my course that I was taking, I remember like walking away feeling like I had like a little bit more clarity, but I didn't have like this like lightning rod moment where I was like, okay, this is who I am and this is what I stand for. I definitely got a lot clearer, but it's going to take like continuing to go back to it. And I'm still doing that. And I think that, as you guys are watching like my posts and stuff, you can see that it's starting to evolve. It's starting to become more clear, but don't be surprised if this is going to take you a little bit of, it's you got to do the work. You have to keep coming back to it. And eventually you'll start to see some patterns, and it makes it much easier to do it that way. So let's go to like the technical stuff now and start talking about the look, feel, and vibe of your page. So we've hammered this into the ground, but rule number one, you and your truth must be infused into everything. So, no more cookie cutting stuff, no more like, well, this coach posted it this way and she's successful in my eyes, so this is how I must have to post it too. Like, nope, that's a silly rule. And it's meant to be broken. Like, you're not supposed to be mimicking other coaches. You're meant to be you. So let's start thinking about what your page looks like. Begin to envision you and your online presence. Like, if you were a color, what color would you be? And if you were a font, what font is just like, what font screams you? And then you can start to kind of imagine what your website's going to look like, or your social media. Does it have a little bit of a certain feel to it? What does it look like? How do people feel when they come to your page? Is it uplifting? Is it funny? Is it motivational? Is it real? What does your Facebook page look like? What does your Instagram look like? And there's no right or wrong answer to these questions, you guys. It's just like, who are you? And who are you visible to other people? So start to kind of imagine. And we are going to be picking out colors and fonts today. So a really easy way to kind of do this, because at first it was like, I don't even know. So colors, go look in your closet. Like, what colors do you have the most of? And that's probably going to be like your brand color, like, because we tend to wear the colors that not only we feel, but we feel represents us. So for me, like, I literally looked into my closet and I have like all these earth colors. I've got blacks, whites, grays, charcoal, navy. And so it makes sense that like my colors for my brand are black and white, and I do gold accents. And it's funny because I have like all gold jewelry. So it's literally like my style. So yeah, start imagining that. And then just another side note on like colors and fonts, this isn't like a mandatory like must have or must do, but if like having a predictable color and font, or like you want to be like kind of recognized for the way that you say things, or if it makes you feel professional and polished and pretty, and people come to your page and that's how they want to feel, that's fine. Like, colors and fonts aren't going to be the thing that like make or break your business. So this branding, like, you could do this homework and you could like start making posts and start infusing this. But if that feels like it's like a stretch, or it's not really you, then like, for the love of God, don't do it. But if this is going to be something that makes you feel like I guess more legit as a coach, then definitely do this. And like, I've been doing this and I love it. So like, if you're feeling like overwhelmed and like this is just so not you, that's okay as well. Like, you can be super successful and not have like a color and font package. And likewise, you can be, super not successful and still have a color and font package. So as long as you're infusing your truth into it and what feels good to you, that's what's going to matter most. So some homework is choose two colors, two main ones with one accent. This is gonna be how we're gonna start, like if you do any graphics on your page or your timeline photos, we're just gonna be putting these colors in with purpose. So I chose, like I said earlier, black and white, and I have one accent, and that's gold. I know our Renegade colors, it's black, white, and gold, but then we also have like some blues and pink. So if you wanna go along those lines, those feel good too, that's fine. If you're somebody who's like hot pink and fuchsia and like gold and white, like whatever, choose what feels good to you. Also, let's pick out some fonts for you guys, because I'm going to be talking about some easy ways to post later, and this will just make it, when people come to your page, it'll feel really like, I don't know what the word is for it, but it'll just feel pretty and polished and predictable, and it'll be like, that's so-and-so. So I suggest having like a feminine and a masculine font, and actually let me show you an example real quick. So hang on just a second. Oh, where am I? So something that I have been doing is, where's all this? So I've been doing these graphics, right? And these are my fonts right here. Like this is my masculine one, just basic, Times New Roman. I think it's classic, but then it's mixed with like this one right here, which is a little bit more like handwriting. So you can see we're like the two of them together, and it's just a nice blend. You also have the colors of black and white, and then I just use like a gray charcoal, like just for like my little watermark. But you can start making some of these pictures like this, and that in itself, if you go to my page, you'll see like there's a ton of posts, and they're all written in those two fonts and in black and white, and so it just makes it feel a little bit more fluid as well. So let's go back to this slideshow real quick. So your homework for today is to choose your fonts and colors and start infusing them into your pictures. I feel like that was obvious, but just in case. Okay, so posting made easy. I promise I'm almost done, you guys, but I just want to give you, like I said, a little bit of feel good and a little bit of action stuff. So posting made easy. Often, I feel like as a coach, we get so caught up in like having to post and like, you know, does it add value? Is it entertaining? Like, is this me? And it can be really kind of like stressful, like if that makes sense. I think it can be stressful because you always like wonder, like, you know, is this any good, and blah blah blah. So this is a new trick that I used, and it helps so much, and it's just take pictures of what moves you. You know, it could be a selfie, it could be your workout, it could be a flower, it could be, you know, wherever you're traveling to, it could be of you and your kids. But then you're going to want to go on a rant about it. And don't worry, rants don't have to be negative, but it's just going to be like where you just kind of free write and your heart is spilled all over, right? Now, this isn't an excuse to like be a bitch or to like load your shit on people. Like, that's not what we're about. But it's just about you feeling really strongly about whatever it is that you're talking about. And that's going to be the most genuine sound of you, like at your soul level. And it's just a super fast way to gain trust and credibility with people. Because they can tell, like, you're not trying to make it sound good. You're not trying to make it sound like what it's not. You're not trying to like post just to post. Like, it really feels like they can hear your voice talking about it. They know that this is important to you. You know, they know that this is a piece of you. So definitely start doing this. Like, take pictures of what moves you, and you don't have to do a ton of them at once. I recommend, like, you know, less is more with this, unless you have a lot to say about stuff. This isn't also the only way to post. It just helps to get like your voice starting to get out there. And so you can also create a couple graphics and schedule 2 of them a day. You can go check out my Facebook page for examples, but I just showed you like what I've been doing. And I basically find quotes, I go on rants, and I just like take little pieces or little taglines out of them. I throw them on a picture with my font and my colors, and those get scheduled to be posted 2 times a day. And that way, like, I don't have to worry about coming up with a ton of content, but yet I'm still putting out content, which is me. It's what I believe in. It's things I would tell people, and it's pretty and packaged and neat. And when people come to my page, it feels like it all matches. You know, it's like it's my voice infused into my posts. It's my fonts. It's my colors. And they also feel like they know me because it's important to me, and I share that part of why it's important in my posts. So always, again, make sure to infuse your truth. You know, what I share, you might love or hate some of the quotes. If you love them, feel free to, use them, but make them your own, because how you see that is going to be your truth, right? The same thing for whatever else inspires you. You can use like Pinterest to find quotes. It can be from your personal development. That's a really good one, because usually things that stick out to you are like kind of like little hints, little peepholes into your soul, because they mean something to you, because obviously it's important to you. So always infuse your truth into your post, even if you are just doing your graphics. So once we're coming to the end, by the way. Once we kind of start to do this, it all feels well and good. I feel like when you first hear this stuff and you're like, oh, this is like, it's so easy. Like I always thought like branding was all technical and like marketing packages and blah, blah, blah. And it's really just about sharing your truth and who you are and like what message that you feel the world needs to hear. But that can be really scary, because we're always kind of told to keep it to ourselves, or, don't talk about that stuff because it'll ruffle feathers, or whatever it is. It's so common to have like this negative voice pop up and feel scared and feel like you're, it's really scary to be vulnerable, especially online, especially when everybody can read it and see it and manipulate it and like, all this stuff. So these voices pop up like, who am I to talk about this? Who am I to say this? Who am I to post this stuff? Or, often one as a new coach is like, well, when I get, a higher rank, or I start making more money, then I'll be able to like, I'll share more. And all of these things are just kind of ways to keep you playing small and to keep you like feeling safe. But when you're playing small and feeling safe, and, I quite often notice that your business stays small and plays safe too. So in order to like really gain influence and exposure and credibility, in order to be like a leader in social media and thought, and have people, want to find, if they can't find you, they can't work with you. So we really need to be able to be honest about our fears when they come up, especially when we're starting to, share these kind of scary things. It's so much safer to share about challenge packs and your workouts and your shakes, but it's like really hard to put your heart on the line. So just be honest about your fear. It's okay. We all have them. I definitely still get like that little fear. It's like, oh, like what if somebody reads this and they take it the wrong way? Like it can often be a fear like that. Notice that it's there, and then you have to discredit it. So something that you could ask yourself, if mine was like, well, what if that hurts somebody's feelings or it ruffles someone's feathers? I often ask myself, what would I have to believe in order for this to be true? And then you have to like imagine like, okay, well, if I was really scared that it would ruffle somebody's feathers, that they'd be mad at me, I'd have to believe that I wasn't loved, or that, I would be like, that I'm not qualified to talk about this, or I'd have to believe that, the way that I see the world isn't good enough. And all of that, like, is that true? Absolutely not, right? But it's just our fear trying to talk to us. So write a new story, write why you need to share this, why you need to share your heart, why it's important that somebody else hears this. And sometimes it can be like, there's one other person who gets what I'm going through, and if it makes a difference in their life, then I've done my job. Sometimes it's just one other person, right? So be honest with your fear, discredit it, come up with all the reasons and why that's not true, and then rewrite a new story as to like what, could happen if that's, hang on, somebody's like pulling in and I don't know who they are. But rewrite the story as to like why you need to share this, like why going big is going to be helpful to you and to so many other people, and why the world needs your gifts. So, and then also trust yourself. Your gifts were given to you because the world needs them. You're not this like random person that you have these gifts and these messages and these feelings, and like what like really juices you. Those were like why you're here, and you should be sharing them. And you're so blessed as a coach to be able to have this platform to do so and to influence so many people. So trust yourself, trust your gut, trust those feelings, surrender, keep working through the clarity and whatnot, and like really honing in on like who you are and what you're bringing to the world, and know that it's there on purpose. Know that that's not a mistake. Know that you were like, I don't know, this opportunity stumbled upon you because maybe this is the way that you share them. Maybe this is the way you can finally start talking about the things that matter to you and how you can be a blessing and a service to other people. So last but not least, if you do want some help in, you know, growing your brand. I did get this prayer from my friend and mentor, Amanda, and I love to say it every day before I start working. And you can screenshot it or save it on your phone, but it's really just about like asking God, angels, universe, or whoever you believe in, right? It's just asking to step into your greatness in a greater way and asking to believe in yourself more. So you guys can obviously read this, but that's about all I have for today as far as branding goes. If you guys have any other questions, I'm happy to help you guys and chit chat and brainstorm. So let me exit my screen. All right. Yep. If you guys have any other questions or whatnot, feel free to ask on the team page or shoot me a message directly, and I'm happy to help with whatever it is, figuring out your message, figuring out who you are, and also, you know, maybe what fonts and colors feel and look like you. So thanks for stopping by, you guys, and we'll see you soon.